Hello. I had an interesting question come up today. I run THM boot camps. Basically, it's 6 weeks of coaching. It's laid out very strategically. So we have 1 week where we cover in depth how to stay on plan when you're in survival mode, and 1 week on cheating and staying on plan. And I check everyone's food journals. They ask me questions. We do a lot of work in boot camp. And the goal is by the end of 6 weeks to have be completely on plan and have systems in place to make staying on plan so much easier. So one thing that I ask in boot camp during our cheating week, or when we cover how to stay on plan, I ask everybody to change their phrasing to be a little bit different. So for the first few weeks of boot camp, when I'm checking food journals, I'll see a lot of things where people will say, "Oh, I was in this situation and I had to eat this. It wasn't on plan," or this happened and I had to eat this way because I was busy, or whatever the case may be. But what I ask them to reframe and to rephrase is, instead of saying, "I went off plan, somebody gave me this, I had this food," instead I ask my coaching clients to start saying, "I chose to go off plan. I chose to eat this food. I chose to not follow my meal plan. I chose to eat this sugary item," whatever it is. I ask them to reframe the conversation. And the reason we do that is that I find frequently people will phrase a cheat or going off plan as if they are a victim and something happened to them. I had to, it was given to me, it was offered to me, I couldn't say no. We cover some tips and tricks to go over how to stay on plan, even if you feel like you can't say no, how you can still be gracious and still enjoy company and still have some really great times and not offend anybody. We talk about that a little bit in boot camp, that you can make different choices. So when someone says, "I had to," my response is usually, "You probably didn't have to go off plan." So instead, if somebody says, "I chose to go off plan because I only see my mother-in-law once a year and she made her famous recipe for fill in the blank. It was my only opportunity." Then I can say, "Okay, you made that choice. If you feel good about it, I'll help you recover from it as your coach. But I don't want anybody feeling victimized by food. Instead of feeling like I have no option but to eat something that's not going to help me, I want everyone to feel empowered and realize I do have other choices. There are other things I can do. This isn't cheating, isn't something that happens to me." Because what I find is, when someone feels like they have no choice but to cheat and it just keeps happening, then they start to take that kind of victim mentality and pull it into day to day. "I can't stop cheating. I can't stop. I can't eat on plan. I can't do this." And that level of frustration, honestly, a lot of people come to me and ask me to coach them when they get there, when they feel like giving up and they feel like it's just not possible. But when you're doing that and you're saying, "I can't do this, this isn't going to work for me, I can't make this happen," you are lying to yourself, because yes, you can. You can make different choices. You can always make different choices. And one of my favorite things to say in boot camp, it's almost like a catchphrase now. I know some of the ladies who are with me for the year and working on getting all the way to goal weight will chime in and say this even before I do sometimes now. But one of the things that I like to make sure everybody understands is, you are the only person who decides what food goes into your mouth. You are the only one who makes that decision. So I ask that everybody take ownership of it and say, "Yes, this is what I'm doing." Now, if you acknowledge, "Yes, this was a choice I made, I decided to go off plan," then we can work with getting back on track. No problem. Pearl has even mentioned on the podcast, I can't remember the exact details, but I think it was last year, talking about having a cinnamon roll, um, and getting right back on track. I do it every once in a while. They built an In-N-Out in Colorado. There are several of them now. It's my favorite place to eat. I've eaten there a few times. I rarely have sugar, and I mean, of course, anybody could look at me, and I do, I don't want to invite comments speculating about whether I could lose weight or not. I am very happy with my weight. I'm sure people could look at me and say, "Lose more weight." I don't know. But I'm happy where I'm at. So I do eat off plan probably 3 or 4 times a year. But I feel better. I sleep better. My body is healthier when I stay on plan. So for the most part, I choose to stay on plan because that's how I like to eat and it feels good. That doesn't mean that I don't have crossovers. I do from time to time. My point is making a choice every once in a while to get off plan. If you're in a spot where you can handle that, if you are someone who, let's say, you will always find opportunities to go off plan. There will always be a potluck. There will always be a special event. There will always be something you feel like you can't have any other time. You feel like, oh, it's this special opportunity. I'm going to do that. If you feel like that a week, you may want to reevaluate if the situations that are in front of you are truly special, or if you should try to just completely abstain from going off plan for a little while and just get rid of those cravings. Get yourself to a place where you are not struggling so much. The more you give in, the more you tend to struggle. But if it's truly special and it's a choice you make, that's a little different. I just want to make sure, and this question was asked, why do I ask everybody to say I chose to go off plan? It's really about personal responsibility. It's really about making sure that you are acknowledging that these are choices and decisions that you make day in and day out. And I want you to reach your goals. I want you to be successful. That's literally my job. That's why I'm helping people get to their goals on THM. If you are struggling a little bit, sometimes it can just help to take that ownership. Say, I am deciding to go off plan. Then sometimes if you're saying that to yourself, you'll start to think, wait, why am I going off plan? Do I really want to go off plan? Is that going to help me reach my goal if I go off plan? The answer is no. Going off plan is not really ever going to help you reach your goals. But if you're honest with yourself and you take responsibility, it takes away some of that victimhood and some of those feelings of, I can never do this, this will never work. That can help clear that out for you so that you can feel free to just view food as a choice that you make. Sometimes you may choose to go off plan, yes, but it's not something that's just passively happening to you that you have to accept, excuse me. If you acknowledge that you're choosing to go off plan, you can also acknowledge that every time you eat is an opportunity to choose to stay on plan. Every time you eat is an opportunity to make progress. So there's just a different way of looking at it, but that's why I ask everybody to acknowledge if they chose to go off plan. I'm assuming nobody's being force fed anything, but choosing to go off plan and recognizing that, it's just something that helps in the process of taking that responsibility and making different choices in the future. So I hope that makes sense. That's just one of many, many things we cover in the 6 weeks of boot camp, but it is pretty interesting and I do think it's pretty effective. So the next time you are about to go off plan, maybe acknowledge to yourself, I'm choosing to do this, and then evaluate if that's really, really a choice you want to make or not. I hope you have a great day. Bye.